My name's Anna, and I've noticed something strange. Basically, to sum it up really quickly, I've noticed that people get the most sympathy when they cry. You're probably thinking, yeah, everyone else knows that. But there's an extension. It's just what I find weird, is that basically someone could be going through something horrible their whole life. For example, depression or a bunch of mental disorders. And, they could be going through horrible things, but no one would notice because they didn't say anything, because they probably wouldn't want to say anything. No one would notice, but if someone, maybe if a teacher yelled at someone, and then they were just kind of angry about it that day, and then later that day, they were to cry about it. Everyone would be completely coming over to them, giving them all the attention and sympathy that they need. Is that not strange? Should we not give sympathy to those who deserve it, as opposed to those who just have it in the moment? What do you think? Do you think that someone who's had, for example, depression their whole life should get more sympathy or less sympathy than someone who got yelled at by a teacher and was just extremely angry at it that day to the point where they cried about it? Now, for a brief example of this, let me give you an example that happened to me today. Basically, for a while, I've been friends with this girl, and we both have very strong personalities, and they tend to clash a lot, which isn't very good. And I guess maybe today she was extra angry or something, because maybe she was just very strong personality today, if that makes sense. But, yeah, and today, we just had a little argument, and I was getting extremely stressed with this argument, because usually with this person, I get very stressed out when I'm around them. I get very, stressed out, kind of angry. I remember there was one day that I nearly did cry, because I was just so stressed out with the day, because she was saying things, and I was just stressed. She probably didn't even mean to be mean, but with her, I just get very anxious and kind of stressed out a lot of the time, because I know something's going to go wrong. And today something did. She was talking to me about a book, something similar to that, and then she was just, we kind of arguing, and I just said something that probably threw her off, because she just got really mean, and she literally said, oh, just because you're on your period and he has a broken heart doesn't mean you have to get all, doesn't mean you have to spread it out to everyone else. And then I said, as rude as it was, I said, actually, I was going to say the exact same thing to you, but unlike you, I have boundaries. Now, at this point, I understand that it's a bad thing to say, and I shouldn't have said that, and I do apologize. But at the same time, I noticed that she started crying, and she started crying, like, seriously. She was just, and you could tell she was just kind of turned over, and she was just kind of crying her eyes out. And I felt slightly guilty at that point, but at that point, I also felt very stressed out myself, because I knew that my other friend, who was right next to me, would go over and he would help her, and he would be like, oh, what's wrong? You okay? You okay? And start saying all these sympathetic things to her. And I was given a very guilty look. No, not a guilty look, kind of really look. And I didn't feel guilty at that point. I just felt angry. Secretly, I felt angry, because secretly I just felt like, are you serious? I believe how I felt throughout maybe 3 years. But no one's actually said anything, and no one's noticed. And then the moment she starts crying, you give her all this attention and sympathy. Call me jealous, call me envious, I just find it very strange. What's more important to you? Long-term or short-term issues? Now, to be fair, short-term issues might be different. There might be something behind it that I didn't really notice, and I do apologize in advance if there was. But overall, I'm very confused about it. Like, especially in real life, just think about it. What would you do if you were suffering from depression or something like that for a very long period of time, and then maybe someone just got depression? Like, not they didn't. They just realized that they had depression maybe a week after, it kind of began. And then they started crying because of that, and everyone's like, oh, it's okay, and they gave this whole long, thing about, oh, why it's fine, and why we love you, and stuff like that. But no one's ever done that to you. I think the reason might be is because if you do have stress or depression or things like that, and people don't come to you with sympathy and, giving you sympathy and advice and attention, is because you didn't say anything. This one, I pretty much self-explanatory. If you don't say anything, no one's gonna know. And if no one knows, no one can give you, help or anything like that. Which is why it's probably difficult to say things, which is why I understand that. I understand that it's very difficult to talk to people about that. And in the end, you probably would feel very left out if something like that scenario happened to you, the one that I just described about my friend crying. You'd probably feel very kind of angry that you don't get this yourself, and it's understandable. And although you may not be saying anything, it's not your fault. That it is, no, let me rephrase that. It's not just you have to be considerate about the people around you, because you can't just be angry at other people because they're not giving you what kind of help you want, because in the end you're not saying anything. But you don't have to say anything unless you want it to be said. If you need that, say something. But if you don't have to say anything. I'm sorry, this video probably got very off topic really quickly. I just felt that I need to get that off my chest because it'd be boiling with me all day. Bye.